What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? Ty from Ty Drives here to show you guys all around this 2022 Fiat 500X and a pretty special trim level or special edition. We have the Yacht Club Capri trim to look at today. And throughout this video, we're going to take a look at all of the features on the exterior. We'll then pop the hood, see what the powertrain looks like. We'll get into the trunk area, see how much room we have back there, and then we'll get into the interior. And we'll start off with the rear seats and end up with the front seats. We're going to want to make sure to stay tuned to the end of the video because I'm going to strap this GoPro to my head and we are going to see what it's like to drive the 500X. Now this is just a really cool sort of special addition to the Fiat 500X, the Yacht Club Capri edition. And I kind of point out the differences in this trim level throughout the video. First of all, we have this special blue paint and also blue wheels as well, and we'll get into those in just a sec. But here we have our headlamps, which are powered by halogen bulbs up here. You can see they look very nice. And if we move to the middle element, you can see both of them look very nice, all lit up. And on the lower, we have the turn signal and an LED daytime running light. If we take a look even lower on the bottommost lighting element, we have our halogen fog lamps down here. Again, looks very nice, all lit up and surrounded in the classy silver trim. We can see up front, we do have within the last couple of years a new fascia. So gone is the Fiat emblem. We now have the 500 logo in the grille, and we have smaller air openings up top and then a larger one down below. And we have a little sensor here for the front assist systems. Nice small hood, kind of upright, and we have some pretty neat creases towards the center. And take a look at these wheels. Now we do have 18-inch wheels on this particular vehicle, and we have the machine face of the wheel and blue painted pockets. Very neat there. And we have two 1555 tires. Again, that is part of the Yacht Club Capri Special Edition. We have chrome surrounding the windows and on the mirror caps too. Just a very sort of classy specification to the 500X. And take a look at that, a full fabric roof that goes right on back, and we'll take a look at that once we're in the interior. We also have some nice stripes that go on the sides of the vehicle, and this cool little badge on the sides of the doors here. Now, our rear view mirrors have turn signal indicators in them. And we also have smart key entry for the two front door handles. So we have push the button to lock and then hands behind the handle to unlock. And again, that is for the both front door handles. Nice spoiler back here too with some extensions. And you can see that fabric roof a little bit better back here. Really cool looking tail lamps for this vehicle. You kind of have like a painted portion in the center, but looks good, all lit up with partial LED tail lamps back here. We have another one of those Yacht Club Capri badges, and pretty cool looking fascia down here with a little bit of a diffuser style on the bottom of the bumper. We have the stripes continuing on the rear hatch and our Fiat logo, as well as the 500X logo. And we also have the trunk release and reversing camera right underneath the 500X. And to finish it off, we have some nice little exhaust tips towards the bottom. So what do we think of the styling on the 500X Yacht Club Capri? I personally think it's pretty darn cool special edition, and it brings some classy to the 500X. So I've got the hood open on the 500X, and we have one single engine option in North America. It is a 1.3 liter turbocharged inline 4. Cruises 177 horsepower and 210 pound-feet of torque. So pretty good amount of torque in this particular vehicle. Pretty nice and tidy under the hood. We can see the turbocharger right up front on the motor. And we do have a 9-speed automatic for all Fiat 500Xs, as well as all-wheel drive standard. I think this is just a pretty cool looking car all the way around. But now we can hop into the trunk. We just kind of use the trunk popper right there. And it's very easy to open and close. And there is a pretty good amount of space back here for such a small vehicle. So take a look at that. It's pretty bare bones back here, but that's pretty much all you need is just some space to put your cargo. You do have some illumination, and you can also fold the rear seats at a 60-40 split. And underneath the cargo floor, we have some hidden storage and some very nice cargo mats, I should say floor mats for the 500X in the Yacht Club Capri trim level. There is also a tire inflator kit below that second cargo floor if you need that. To close the trunk, we have a nice handle right here. Just close it right on down. Very easy to do. Okay, let's start off the interior with the rear seats. And on the rear door panel, we do have some pretty decent material. So it is nice soft to the touch where your arm is going to rest, but the rest of it is sort of a harder touch plastic. We have the pretty cool door handles back here, and we have a really big emphasis on like a circular theme. So you can see this is a circle, the speaker is a circle, the headrests are circles. So pretty neat theme for the circles here. You can also lock and unlock the doors back here. We have the window switch, a bottle holder, and a little bit of storage down here too. Very neat ivory interior. Very, very soft to the touch seats here. And really nice attention to detail on these seats as well. Take a look at that stitching. But we also have this sort of dark blue piping. It's almost something that you would see on a Maserati, not necessarily a Fiat. So very, very nice seats. You can also fold down these seats with this little latch right here, and that will fold down the seats flat. As you can see, the rear seat is in the way, but if you have that rear seat scooted up a little bit more, they will fold down flat for you. Now, I am 5'10". I'm going to hop in the vehicle so that we can see how much room we have back here. And I can tell you that this is a rather small vehicle, so there is not a whole lot of room. I did adjust the driver's seat to a comfortable position for myself. Again, I'm 5'10", and my knees are just grazing the back of the front seat. Now, we do have mat pockets on either of the front seats. Also a USB charger back here. Pretty small drivetrain hump, so in a pinch, if you had to fit a smaller individual in the center seat, you definitely can. And other than the very cool fabric sunroof, that is pretty much it back here. Let's get down to the business end and focus on the driver's cockpit. First, we'll talk about all the adjustments on the driver's door. Very similar styling, but some pretty cool like trim here with some dots. We have all of our mirror adjustments and our window controls, rear window lockout, and our lock unlock for the door locks. Pretty large storage tray here with a speaker in there, also a bottle holder as well, and pretty much the same materials. We do have a little bit soft to touch materials up here for your elbow, and then pretty soft down here for your arms going to rest. Taking a look at the left of the dash, we have all of our headlight and fog light controls, as well as the interior lighting and gauge dimmer. We also have the release right here for the tilt telescoping steering wheel. And down here we have our pedals. Take a look at the driver's seat. We have the 500 logo kind of embossed in the seat back and our circular headrests. Fully powered seats too. Take a look at that with the four-way lumbar, so that's very nice. And a pretty cool 500 door sill right there as well. So here's the key for the 500X. We have the lock, unlock, remote start, and panic alarm. And you also have this little switch right here which you can move over, and a physical key will slide out in case you need that. And we also have the little Fiat logo on the flip side. Of course, we have push button start, and it is right over here behind the steering wheel. And we hear that nice little turbocharged motor come to life. First of all, we could talk about our steering wheel. Very nice looking steering wheel and very smooth leather to wrap it. We have all of the controls up here for our digital portion of the gauges, all of our Bluetooth and voice command controls towards the bottom, and all of our cruise control settings there too. And again, very circular theme with the circular airbag cover. Take a look behind the steering wheel. We have a couple of stalks, one for your, of course, turn signals and high beams, and the other for our front and rear wipers. Pretty nice set of gauges up here too, very simple and to the point. We have our analog speedometer and analog rev counter, as well as in the center the screen there for your various different information. So pay attention to the controls that I'm clicking in response to what the screen is doing. So first of all, we kind of have a driver's information screen. We can scroll down to our fuel range, driving modes, vehicle information such as your tire pressures, start stop, and audio settings. We also have different settings you can go through and kind of go back and forth between a few different menus here, such as your trip computer. We have kind of a trip A, trip B, and then various settings within both. And that pretty much is it. You know, we have a couple of different screens we can go through in the different sub-menus, such as the oil temperature, battery voltage, you know, things like that. You know, pretty simple little gauge cluster screen in there. And also to either side, we have the fuel gauge and coolant temperature gauge there too. Up here, we have a pretty nice upper dash, and down here we have our infotainment screen. So very nice, again, you know, overall a square shape, but a very rounded off, almost circle infotainment screen here. So we have the volume knob and tuning over there, mute, and a sort of dimmer button there. Well, here we kind of have a home screen. We can just press the Uconnect button right there. It'll kind of display a couple of different things, but pretty much at the bottom we'll have all of our main menus that we can go through. So we have sources over here, presets up top, and then kind of tuning on the bottom. We have our media button here, phone, and then also our audio screen, which we can adjust the audio settings. And we also have our screen settings here too. So we can scroll down like so. And there's a bunch of different things that you can go through. And then you can also go through your trip A and trip B settings through here as well. If we click the Uconnect screen again, you know, it'll kind of just show you a couple of different, it's basically a home screen for this system. So, and that pretty much does it for the screen too. So it's a very easy to get used to screen. So it's kind of no distractions, just you leave it on your radio screen and make your adjustments as needed. Right below the screen, we have a little array of buttons to turn on and off your traction control, as well as your auto start stop and your hazards. Nice air vents over here, and I almost forgot to mention this very nice wood grain that comes on the Yacht Club Capri trim. Very, very neat slab of wood there for this vehicle. Down below, we have a very simple climate control. We have dual zone, so the temperatures can be adjusted between driver and passenger. We have the AC settings on top, instead of an auto and sync button. Defrosters in the center, and then fan speed right here. And then we also have where you want the air to blow within that center knob. So very, very simple climate control. Never a reason for a climate control in any car to get more complicated than this. Let's get the shifter out of the way so we can see our buttons for the heated seats for both driver and passenger. We also have two USB inlets and a 12-volt right below it, and some storage. Again, 9-speed automatic for the 500X. We have this pretty cool shifter here with the leather boot and kind of a button to keep it together, which is pretty neat attention to detail there. We put it into reverse. Of course, we have the reversing camera with the guidance lines to predict your path. And of course, we have neutral and drive, and we can also shift it over into manual mode, up and down like so, if you would like to. We have more of that sort of dotted trim that we saw on the doors. And we also have a couple of driving modes here. So we have a sort of sport mode that'll kind of display up on the dash here. We have a sort of normal driving mode or automatic, and then we also have a kind of all-weather mode, which is pretty neat. So in the test drive, we will kind of cycle between the sporty mode and the automatic mode, and I will let you know when we do so. A couple of cup holders and our electronic parking brake down here. pretty neat, soft to the touch armrest, and with a little bit of storage in there. The passenger is treated to more of that wood grain, which is very nice, and a pretty decently sized glove box. I always like the print of the owner's manual sleeve on the Fiat. It's pretty funky owner's manual there. Taking a look up top, we have a full gray headliner. We can fold down the visors, which have sun extensions, and the mirror with light. And that brings me up to our center stack, where we have some lighting and also your control for the sunroof here. So we'll kind of open it up like so, and take a look at that, how neat it is, kind of just folding up like that. And we'll kind of get a shot of it from the exterior so you can see that. And now that it's closed up nice and snug, there is one more thing I'd like to point out, and that is the mirror that is auto dimming on the inside. So that pretty much does it for the pretty quirky Fiat 500X Yacht Club Capri. Let's get it out on the road and see how it drives. All right, let's take this Fiat 500 out for a little test drive. So I can't even remember the last time I drove a Fiat 500X, and now it has a new engine from the last time I drove one. So let's see what it's like to drive. Now I do have a pretty cool test drive route planned out for you guys. It's not too long of a test drive since we're in Hartford, Connecticut, which is the capital, so it's mostly sort of city driving around here. But we will get a good feel for it, you know, sort of in traffic, see how it does then, and we'll get an acceleration clip, and we'll kind of get a feel for it in a corner. So we'll do have a pretty good test drive planned out, just a little bit shorter than usual. So immediately off the bat, the engine does sound pretty quiet. When you first start up, it is a little bit more noisy, but definitely quiets down when you're out of that cold start sort of time frame. This is just such a neat car, this Yacht Club Capri Edition. And it's really cool. The first thing you really realize when you get in this car is these seats are really comfy too. I definitely have to say that. And first impression on the sort of suspension and things like that is it's pretty comfy too. You know, it's not, you know, I would say it's not really a sport suspension setup. I wouldn't say it's especially a comfort setup, but it seems like a pretty good combination of both. Now we did have the auto start stop activate for us, so you can see the car's not running, and as soon as we get some green arrows, we'll let off the pedal and see how fast it starts up. So yeah, the start stop works pretty good. The starter turns the engine over pretty fast, and away we go. Now, so far in city driving, just coming to light, this car does pretty well. And of course, that is kind of what it's designed for. The transmission, the 9-speed transmission is a pretty smooth transition from gear to gear. You know, the gear ratios are nice and close, so you're kind of always in that power band. And speaking of power, we'll see what it does. We'll kind of take a left at this next light, and we'll put it into our sport mode, and we'll kind of get a good acceleration from, I like to get the car up to 25 miles an hour, and then kind of mash the throttle and see how fast we can get up to speed. You know, that kind of tests not only our acceleration, but also how fast the transmission reacts to the throttle inputs. so we're at 25 now, and let's see. Yeah, actually not too bad for a little car like this. You could definitely feel that 210 pound-feet of torque, and that's a pretty good number for a little car like this. Let's have a nice little corner here, and the suspension feels pretty balanced too, I must say. It was a little bit tipsy since we are on a more of a comfort style suspension, but that is to be expected, and it performs pretty good as a small SUV here. I'm just kind of turning back into our home base. I give you some wrap-up thoughts on this 500X. I really think this is a pretty cool and quirky car in the Yacht Club Capri trim level, and it's still pretty relevant, this car. I really like the sort of simplicity that this car offers. We have sort of an older school style and simplistic interior, and, you know, nothing crazy with these screens, nothing crazy technology wise, and it does have a pretty good amount of equipment. You know, this car does sticker for just around $37,000, which is a bit, but if you get more of a reasonable trim level, that price will drop pretty drastically. And the standard all-wheel drive is also pretty good. You know, we have a pretty good powertrain under the hood. The transmission seems to react to everything just fine, and yeah, I think this is a pretty great little car. So I hope you have enjoyed the Fiat 500X just as much as I have, and I also hope you stay with us here at Ty Drives for more videos just like this one.